This is the Edexcel higher tier paper 2 calculator paper from November 2019. Question 1. So we've got a table showing information about the weights of 50 potatoes, and there's a frequency polygon that's been drawn, but the frequency polygon is not fully correct. So let's have a look at the frequency polygon and see what's wrong with it. So straight away, without even looking at the numbers, we can see that there's a line connecting the first and the last points. That shouldn't be there. There should just be the midpoint against frequency plotted for each point joined up with a ruler. So the first and last points shouldn't be connected. So the first and last points should not be connected. There's not a label on the y-axis. It should be a label for frequency. So that is something else that's wrong. So we could say there is no frequency label. And also one more thing is wrong with this one. So the point should be midpoint against frequency. So 15, 6, 25, 21, 35, 13, 45, 7, and 55, 3. And the first point, which should be at 15, 6, 15, 6 is here. So the first point is plotted incorrectly. We've already given 2 reasons, so we don't need to give another one. But if we did, it would be the first point is not plotted correctly. It should be at 15, 6. Question 2. The length of a pencil is 128 millimeters, correct to the nearest millimeter. Complete the error interval for the length of the pencil. So they've measured to the nearest millimeter, and they've got 128. The one up, 1 millimeter up is 129. 1 millimeter down is 127. So for it to be closest to 128, it must be in between the 2 midpoints. So halfway between 127 and 128 is 127.5, and halfway between 128 and 129 is 128.5. So the length must be between 127.5 and 128.5. Question 3. Tom and Adam have a total of 240 stamps. The ratio of the number of Tom's stamps to the number of Adam's stamps is 3 to 7. Tom buys some stamps from Adam, so there's still 240 in total. The ratio of Tom's stamps to Adam's stamps is now 3 to 5. How many stamps does Tom buy from Adam? So we need to share 240 in the ratio 3 to 7, and then share 240 in the ratio 3 to 5 and see what's changed. So the first one, we've got 3 parts and 7 parts, which is 10 parts in total. So to find out what each part's worth, we'll do 240 divided by 10. So that's 24 for each part. So Tom to Adam is 3 to 7. So it's 3 times 24 and 7 times 24. So 3 24s are 72 and 7 24s are 168. So that's how many they start with. But then Tom buys some stamps from Adam. So there's now 3 to 5 as the ratio. 3 and 5 added together is 8. So now there are 8 parts. So 240 divided by 8 is 30. So now each part is worth 30. So again, we've got Tom and Adam in the ratio 3 to 5 this time. Now it's 3 times 30 and 5 times 30. 3 30s are 90. 5 30s are 150. So now Tom has got 90 stamps. So he had 72 to start with. Now he's got 90. So how many did he buy from Adam? So how many extra stamps has he got? 90 take away 72 is 18. He must have bought 18 stamps. And we can see Adam's stamps have gone down by 18. So 18 stamps. Question 4. Each person in a fitness club is going to get a free gift. Stan is going to order the gifts. Stan takes a sample of 50 people in the fitness club. He asks each person to tell him the gift they would like. The table shows information about his results. So there are 50 people in the sample, and it says there are 700 people in the fitness club. Work out how many sports bags Stan should order. So 17 people in the sample out of 50 chose the sports bag, and we want to know, well, we're going to keep the same fraction, but it's going to be this fraction of 700. So let's work that out. 17 50ths of, so times 700, and that's 238. So that's how many sports bags Stan should order. Write down any assumption you made and explain how this could affect your answer. So we've assumed that this sample he took is representative of all of the people. So he didn't just choose young people or old people in the sample. The sample is representative of all the people in the club. So we've assumed the sample is representative of all the people in the club. So how would this affect our answer? Well, if it wasn't, the answer wouldn't be accurate. So if not, the answer would not be accurate. It might be too high or it might be too low, but it just wouldn't be right. So if the sample isn't representative of all the people, then our estimate isn't accurate. Question 5. Here are 6 graphs. So A, B, C, D, E, and F. And we need to write down the letter of the graph that could have the equation for part A, y equals x cubed. So looking at these graphs, there's 2 cubic graphs here. B's a cubic graph and F is a cubic graph, but y equals x cubed is this one that goes through only one point at 0, 0. B is a cubic, but it's a more complicated cubic. It will be x cubed plus something x squared plus something x plus something. It'll be in a more complicated form. So F is y equals x cubed, y equals 1 over x. So that's a reciprocal graph. And again, there are 2 reciprocal graphs here, C and D. It's a positive one. It's not a minus 1 over x. It's just 1 over x. So it starts in the bottom left and ends in the top right. So it's D. C is a negative reciprocal graph. D is the positive reciprocal graph. And then E is a straight line graph, y equals mx plus c, and A is y equals x squared. Question 6. The nth term of a sequence is 2n squared minus 1. The nth term of a different sequence is 40 minus n squared. Show that there is only one number that is in both of these sequences. So we're going to have to list the numbers in the sequence. So write down all the numbers in both of these sequences. So this one's going to go up, this one's going to go down. So they're going to only meet in one place at some point. So let's just substitute the numbers in. So to find the first term, we change n to 1. To find the second term, we change n to 2, and so on. So the first term for 2n squared minus 1 is 2 times 1 squared minus 1. Let's use the calculator because we've got it. So 2 times 1 squared minus 1 is 1. The second term, 2 times 2 squared minus 1. So change our 1 into a 2. So that's a 7. Then 2 times 3 squared minus 1. So that's 17. 2 times 4 squared minus 1. Is 31. And I really want to go over 40, so we'll do 2 times 5 squared minus 1, which is 49. So now for our 40 minus n squared. 40 minus 1 squared. 40 minus 1 is 39. 40 minus 2 squared. 40 minus 4 is 36. 40 minus 3 squared. 40 minus 9 is 31. 40 minus 4 squared. 40 minus 16, that's 24. We've got 40 minus 5 squared. 40 minus 25 is 15. 40 minus 6 squared. 40 minus 36, that's 4. And just so we've gotten past 1, 40 minus 7 squared. 40 minus 49 is negative 9. So there's only one number in both of the sequences, and that is 31. So only 31 is in both. Question 7. Work out 3.42 times 10 to the power of negative 7 divided by 7.5 times 10 to the power of negative 6 and give your answer in standard form. So the calculator will work this out for us. 3.42 times 10 to the power of negative 7 divided by 7.5 times 10 to the power of negative 6. So as a decimal, we've got 0.0456. But we need to give our answer in standard form, so we can't leave it like that. We need to write it as a number between 1 and 10. So 4.56. And then times 10 to a power. What do you have to multiply? 4.56. How many times do you have to divide it by 10 to get 0.0456? 1, 2. So as we're going backwards, that's a negative 2. Divide it by 10 twice. So the power is -2. And we can check the answer in the calculator. If we type it in, 4.56 times 10 to the power of -2, the calculator will tell us that that is 0.0456. So we know we have the correct answer. Question 8. The number of days, D, that it will take to build a house is given by D is equal to 720 divided by N, where N is the number of workers. So Ali's company will take 40 days to build the house. Haley's company will take 30 days to build the house. And it says Haley's company will have to use more workers each day than Ali's. How many more? So the number of days is 720 divided by the number of workers. Ali's company takes 40 days. So 40 is 720 over N. So let's find out how many workers Ali's company uses by solving this equation. So times both sides by N will give us 40N equals 720. And then to get N by itself, we divide both sides by 40. So 720 over 40 is 18. So it's 18 workers for Ali, and for Haley it takes 30 days. So substituting into our formula, D is now 30. 30 is equal to 720 over N. Again, solving this equation will tell us how many workers Haley uses. So times both sides by N, and then divide both sides by 30. 720 over 30 is 24. So 24 workers. So the question said, how many more workers does Haley use? How many more? So 24, take away 18, gives us 6. Question 9. The diagram shows a cube and a cuboid. The total surface area of the cube is equal to the total surface area of the cuboid. So we can work out the surface area. So that's something we can do. And Janet says the volume of the cube is equal to the volume of the cuboid. Is Janet correct? So we can work out the surface area of the cuboid, and then using the fact that they're equal, we can find the length of each side of the cube, and that will let us work out the volume of the cube. And we can also work out the volume of the cuboid because we've got those measurements. So the first step, surface area of the cuboid. So the surface area is the area of every surface added together. So the front, the back, the top, the bottom, and the side and the other side. So for the front, we've got 6 times 8. And 6 times 8 is 48 centimeters squared. The back is exactly the same as the front. The top is 8 times 18. Which is 144 centimeters squared again. The bottom again is the same as the top, so 144. And the sides are 6 times 18. which is 108 centimeters squared. So both sides are 108. So in total, the total surface area is 2 48s plus 2 144s plus 2 108s, and that's 600. So 600 centimeters squared. So that's the total surface area of the cuboid. So the total surface area of the cube must be, it's equal, so it must be 600 centimeters squared as well. A cube has got 6 faces, 6 surfaces, the top, the bottom, the front, the back, the side, and they're all equal. So the area of each one is 600 divided by 6, which is 100 centimeters squared. Now we can find the length. The length of a square is the base times the height. So we just need to square root 100, and we will find that each of these measurements, so it's 10, the base is 10, the height is 10, and the depth is 10. So now we know the measurements for the cube and the cuboid. We can compare their volumes. So the volume is length times width times depth, 10 times 10 times 10 for the cube. So the volume of the cube is 10 times 10 times 10, which is 1000 centimeters cubed. And for the cuboid, we've got 8 times 6 times 18. So we'll just type that into the calculator. 6 times 8 times 18, and it's 864. So it's not the same. So the question said, is Janet correct? No, because the volumes are not equal. Question 10, make k the subject of the formula, and we've got y equals the square root of 2m minus k. So we need to get k by itself, get k on its own. So the whole of the right side is under a square root sign at the moment. So to get rid of that, we do the opposite of square rooting, which is squaring both sides. So that will give us y squared equals 2m minus k. I'm going to make the k positive, so plus k to both sides. So we've got y squared plus k is equal to 2m. And then to get k by itself, at the moment it's added to y squared. So we do the opposite, we take away y squared from both sides. So k is 2m minus y squared. Question 11. Megan grows potatoes. The box plot shows information about the weights of Megan's potatoes. Megan says that half her potatoes weigh less than 50 grams each. Is Megan correct? So on a box plot, these lines mean the lowest. So the lowest weight is 23 grams. The lower quartiles at 39. That means a quarter of potatoes weigh less than 39. The median is at 57. So half of the potatoes weigh less than 57 grams each. So is Megan correct? Well, no. The median weight is 57 grams. 50 is not the median. So half of the potatoes weigh less than the median, which is at 57. Amy also grows potatoes, and we've got a box plot giving information about the weights of Amy's potatoes, and we're going to need to compare these distributions. So we're comparing Amy's potatoes to Megan's potatoes. So we're going to compare a measure of average, which is the median. So Megan's was 57, Amy's is at 42. So on average, Megan's potatoes are heavier. On average, Megan's potatoes are heavier. They weigh more as the median is higher. And then we're going to compare a measure of spread. So the interquartile range, or the range, and we can see that Megan's interquartile range and her range are both bigger than Amy's. So the interquartile range is the gap between the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So we can see that Megan's is bigger. So she's got a bigger interquartile range, which means the weights are more spread out. So the weights of Megan's potatoes are more spread out as her interquartile range is greater. So we've compared the median and the interquartile range, so that should be good for our 2 marks. Question 12. The diagram shows triangle ABC. So we've got ADC, which is a straight line. We can see that on the diagram. DEB is a straight line. Again, we can see that on the diagram. A to D is 4.4, which we can see. B to C is 8.6, which we can see. E is the midpoint of DB. So E is in the middle here. And we've got a 40-degree angle and a 90-degree angle shown on the diagram as well. Work out the size of angle EAD. EAD, this angle here. That's what we're working out. So what we can do, we can use the triangle on the right. So BCD, this triangle here, BCD, to find the length of BD, and then we'll half it, which will give us the length of ED, and then we'll be able to work out our X. So the first step, find the length of BD. So that's this triangle here. So we've got 40 degrees here, 8.6 centimeters, a right angle, and our length BD here. So we're using SOHCAHTOA. The hypotenuse is opposite the right angle, it's the longest side. Opposite the angle is called the opposite, and in between the angle and the right angle is called the adjacent. We're not using the adjacent, we're using the opposite and the hypotenuse. So from SOHCAHTOA, we're using O and H, which is SO. SO means that sine with the angle is equal to O over H. So sine 40 in this case, the angle is 40 degrees, is equal to O, which is our BD, over H, which is 8.6. We want to get BD by itself, so we multiply both sides by 8.6. So 8.6 times sine 40 is equal to our length BD. 8.6 times sine 40 is 5.52 and so on. So BD is 5.52 and so on. I'm going to use the whole number from the calculator, so I'm not going to worry about what I write here particularly, because I'm going to use it in the calculator. I need to find ED now, and ED is half of BD, because E was the midpoint. So half of that is 2.76 and so on. Now I'm going to use the triangle AED. So I'm going to do a quick sketch of AED. So we've got 4.4. Our right angles here. ED is 2.76, the number in the calculator, and I'll leave it in the calculator. And our angle X is down here. So again, SOHCAHTOA, this time we don't have the hypotenuse. We've got the opposite and the adjacent. So from SOHCAHTOA, this time we're using tan. So tan with the angle, tan theta is O over A. The angle this time is X, so tan X is equal to 2.76, the number in the calculator, over 4.4. And to get tan away from X, to get X by itself, we shift tan, arctan, shift tan both sides. So it's shift tan, arctan of 2.76 over 4.4. So we can just type that into the calculator. So shift tan, and it's our answer, over 4.4. And that is 32.1 to 1 decimal place. Question 13. Sakira invests £3,550 in a savings account for 3 years. She was paid 2.6% per annum, compound interest for the first 2 years. She was paid R% interest for the 3rd year. Sakira had £3,819.21 in her savings account at the end of the 3 years. Work out the value of R, correct to 1 decimal place. So we started with 3,550. We got 2.6% for the first 2 years. So if we want to add on 2.6%, we're going to have 100% plus 2.6%, which is 102.6%, or as a decimal, 1.026. So to change a percentage to a decimal, divide by 100. So we're going to add on 2.6% for 2 years, and then we're getting something else in the 3rd year, which we don't know. So I'm just going to say times X times something else. We're going to work out what this multiplier is, and that will give us £3,819.21. So if we divide both sides by 3,550 times 1.026 squared, that will tell us what x is. So £3,819.21 divided by 3,550 times 1.026 squared. That will be our multiplier. That will be x. So £3,819.21 divided by 3,550 times 1.026 squared. And that's 1.022. 1.022. So what is that? What's R? What percentage increase have we had? So if the multiplier is 1.022, times it by 100, that's 102.2%. So what's been added on? It's 2.2. 2.2. 100% plus 2.2%. So R is 2.2. Sadia is going to buy a car, a new car. For the car, she can choose one body color, one roof color, and one wheel type. She can choose from 19 body colors, 25 wheel types. The total number of ways she can choose the body color, the roof color, and the wheel type is 3,325. Work out the number of different roof colors that Sadia can choose from. So 19 body colors times the number of roof colors times the number of wheel types must equal 3,325. So the number of roof colors must be 3,325 divided by 19 times 25. 3,325 over 19 times 25 is 7. So there must be 7 roof colors. Question 15, expand and simplify. So we've got triple brackets here. The first step is to expand 2 of them. Expand 2 of the triple brackets. So we can either expand the first 2 and leave the last one, or we could expand the last 2 and leave the first one. Either way is absolutely fine. So if I expand the first 2, I've got 3x times 2x. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. 2x is a 4x. And 2 times 1 is 2. And that's still multiplied by x minus 5. I can collect the like terms. 3 and 4 make 7. That's my x's. They're both x terms, so I can add them together. 6x squared plus 7x plus 2 times x minus 5. Now I need to expand again. So I'm going to expand. I'm going to multiply every term in the first bracket by both of the terms in the second bracket. So I'm going to end up with 6 terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6x squared times x is 6x cubed. 6x squared times negative 5 is going to be negative. 6 5s are 30, so it's 30x squared. And then the 7x by both of them. 7x times x is 7x squared. 7x times negative 5, again positive times negative is negative. 7 5s are 35. So it's minus 35x. And then we're the 2 times both of the terms in the last bracket. 2x's, that's 2x. and 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So now collecting the like terms, we've got 6x cubed. That's the only x cubed term. We've got these 2x squared terms. Minus 30 plus 7 is minus 23 x squareds. The x terms, we've got minus 35 plus 2, which is minus 33 x's, and we've got a minus 10 as well on the end. So 6x cubed minus 23x squared minus 33x minus 10. Question 16. Marek has 9 cards. There is a number on each card. Marek takes at random 2 of the cards. He works out the product, so timeses them, of the numbers on the 2 cards. Work out the probability the product is even. So how can we get an even number? By multiplying 2 cards together. So we can have, well, odd times odd is odd. An odd number times an odd number gives an odd answer. But anything else, an odd times an even is even. An even times an odd is the same. And an even times an even is even. So we've got 2 options, 2 ways of doing this. We can find the probability of odd times even times odd, even times even, and add them all together. Or we could do probability of odd times odd and do 1 minus that answer, which is a quicker method. So we'll go with that. So the probability of an odd, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 odds out of the 9 numbers. So probability of odd, then odd, is 5 out of 9 for the first pick. And then if so we could have drawn a tree diagram for this as well. But if we've taken 1 number away, there are now 4 odds left out of 8 in total. So the probability of odd then odd is 5/9 times 4/8. 5/9 times 4/8 is 5/18. So that's the probability of getting an odd. So the probability of an even must be 1 minus 5/18. Which is 13/18. Let me just show you the tree diagram quickly. So if we were to write a tree diagram, were to draw a tree diagram, we'll have odd or even for the first pick, odd or even for the second pick, odd or even for the third pick. So for our first pick, there are 5 odd and 4 even. So 5/9 odd, 4/9 even. If we picked an odd out, there'll be 1 less odd. So there's 8 left. Only 4 are odd. And if we'd picked an odd out, there would still be all 4 evens out of the 8 in total. If we'd picked an even, there will still be 5 odds in there out of 8, and there'll be 3 evens out of 8. And then we can work out any of these probabilities by timesing across the branches. So 5/9 times 4/8 was 5/18. 5/9 times 4/8 is the same, so this will be 5/18 as well. 4/9 times 5/8 will be 5/18 again. And 4/9 times 3/8 is 1/6 or 3/18. So our odd, this is the only odd outcome, and these three are even. So if we wanted, we could have added these three together, and that would give us 13/18. Or because all of these four outcomes, they're all the possible outcomes, they have to add up to 1. We can also do 1 minus 5/18. Question 17. A and B are points on a circle, centre O. CAD is the tangent to the circle at A. So it's a tangent and it's a radius. So this must be a 90-degree angle. BOD is a straight line. Angle ODA is 32 degrees. We can see that from the diagram. Work out the size of angle CAB. CAB is this one here. So we know the tangent meets a radius at 90 degrees. So we've now got two angles in this triangle. So 180, take away 90, take away 32 will give us angle AOD. 180, take away 90, take away 32 is 58. So this angle here is 58 degrees. That's on a straight line with angle BOA. So 180 take away 58 is 122, because angles on a straight line add up to 180. $122. Then we've got two radiuses here. B to O is a radius. O to A is a radius. So that gives us an isosceles triangle. Two lengths are the same. So the angles at the base of an isosceles triangle, these two angles must be equal. So if we do 180, take away 122, that will give us what these two angles add up to. And then half it will tell us what each of the angles are. So half of 58 is 29. So then this angle here and this angle here are 29 degrees. And we've got a tangent meeting a radius. So X and 29 have to be 90 degrees in total. So 90 take away 29 is 61 degrees. So the answer is 61 degrees. We weren't asked to give reasons for each stage of our working, but sometimes in these questions you can be. So we would have had to say that the tangent meets a radius at 90 degrees. Angles in a triangle add up to 180. Angles in a straight line add up to 180. Angles at the base of an isosceles triangle are equal. And either angles in a straight line or tangent meets radius at 90 degrees again for our final reason. Question 18. The histogram gives information about the heights in meters of the trees in a park, the histogram is incomplete. So we are told 20% of the trees in the park have a height between 10 and 12.5 meters. So that's the missing bar. The missing bar is 20%, which means the rest of the bars that are drawn must be 80%. In a histogram, when we're looking at the frequency, the number of trees, we're looking at the area of the bars. So if we work out the area of the 4 bars we've got, that'll be 80% of the area, and then divide it by 4 will give us 20%. So we'll know the area of the bar we need to draw. So 2.5 times 1.2 is 3. 2.5 times 2 is 5. 5 times 2.8 is 14. And 12.25 times 8, 12.5 was it? 12.5 times 8 is 100. No, times 0.8 is 10. So 12.5 times 0.8 is 10. So we know 3 plus 5 plus 14 plus 10 must be 80% of the area, which is 32. So that's 80% of the area. To find 20%, we divide by 4, which will be 8, an area of 8. So we need it to have an area of 8. Its width is 2.5. So 2.5 times its height, which is frequency density, is 8. So to find the frequency density, to find the height of the bar, divide by 2.5. 8 over 2.5 is 3.2. So our bar that's missing has got a height of 3.2. And we have completed the histogram. Question 19. The diagram shows a hemisphere, half a sphere, with a diameter of 8.4. So half it for the radius, a radius of 4.2. Work out the volume of the hemisphere. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so the volume of a sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cubed. For half a sphere, we halve that. So half of 4/3 is 2/3. So we've got 2/3 times pi times the radius, which is 4.2 cubed. And that would be our answer. So 2/3 times pi times 4.2 cubed to 3 significant figures is 155. Question 20. D is 1/8 times c cubed and C is 10.9, correct to 3 significant figures. By considering bounds, work out the value of D to a suitable degree of accuracy. Give a reason for your answer. So C is 10.9. It's been rounded to 10.9 to 3 significant figures. The one down will be 10.8 and the one up will be 11.0. So C must have been between these two midpoints. So 10.85 is the lower bound and 10.95 is the upper bound. So we can work out the upper and lower bound for D by substituting in these numbers. So for the lower, D is 1/8 times 10.85 cubed, and for the upper, D is 1/8 times 10.95 cubed. So 1/8 times 10.85 cubed is 159.66. And 1/8 times 10.95 cubed is 164.1211. So 1 truncated, 1 rounded. So we want to write D to a suitable degree of accuracy. So what do both of these round to? So to 3 significant figures, we've got 160 and 164, so they're not the same. But to 2 significant figures, to the nearest 10, they both 160. So 160 is our answer. Give a reason. Both round to 160 to 2 significant figures. Question 21. Here is a speed time graph for a train journey between 2 stations. The journey took 100 seconds, which we can see. Calculate the time taken by the train to travel half the distance between the 2 stations. You must show all your working. So the distance traveled on a speed time graph is the area under the graph. So we can work out the total distance by working out the area under the graph. So the total area, we could either split it into 2 triangles and a rectangle, or we could work out the area of a trapezium. Either way. So this has got a height of, that's what, 12. That's 12. The height's 12. We've got 30 here, 80 here. So we could do half times half of A plus B times the height. So A plus B are the 2 parallel sides. So that's 30 to 80 is 50. And 0 to 100 is 100. So half of 50 plus 100 times the height, which is 12. So half of 50 plus 100 times 12 is 900. So we went 900 meters in total. So half the distance is 450 meters. So how long did it take to go 450 meters? So let's work out the area of this triangle. So half times base times height. Half times 30 times 12 is 180. So that triangle is 180 meters. How much further do we need to go to get to 450? 450 take away 180 is 270. So we're looking for an area of 270 meters here. It's going to have a height of 12. So 12 times what? 12 times which number gives us 270? 270 over 12 is 22.5. So 30 to 22.5 is 52.5. So it's 52.5 seconds. So 52.5, so somewhere in there will give us an area of 450. So that there was 22.5. Compare the acceleration of the train during the first part of its journey with the acceleration of the train during the last part. So the acceleration is the gradient. So the acceleration is the gradient. So compare the gradient for the first part of the journey with the gradient with the last part of the journey. So there's two ways we could answer this. We could talk about how steep it is, or we could just make a comment on whether it's positive or negative. So we could say the acceleration is positive for the first part and negative for the last part, or we could say it accelerated slower, it's less steep, it accelerated slower in the first part than it did, well, than it decelerated. It decelerated quicker in the last part. So either of those comments are okay. So the acceleration was positive in the first part and negative in the last part. Question 22. The number of rabbits on a farm at the end of month N is Pn. The number of rabbits at the end of the next month is given by Pn plus 1 is 1.2 times Pn minus 50. So the number of rabbits the next month is 1.2 times the number at the moment, take away 50. At the end of March there are 200. Work out how many there will be at the end of June. So for April, we've got 1.2 times 200, take away 50. Which is 190. Then May, which which would be 1.2 times the last month, which is 190, take away 50. 1.2 times the answer, take away 50, is 178. And then June, which is the answer we want, is 1.2 times the last answer, take away 50. I've got 163.6. I don't want to give that as my answer because I don't want to give a decimal number of rabbits. So 163 or 164, 164 rabbits. Considering your results in part A, suggest what will happen to the number of rabbits on the farm after a long time. So we can see the number of rabbits started at 200 and it's going down. So what's going to happen to the number of rabbits? It's going to keep declining and, well, eventually there'll be no rabbits. So it will decline until there are no rabbits left. Question 23. The diagram shows a parallelogram and we've got some measurements, we've got some algebra on our diagram. The area of the parallelogram is greater than 15 centimeters squared. Show that, get to this, so 2x squared minus 21x plus 40 is less than 0. So this is an area of a triangle question. So if we split the parallelogram in half, we're going to use the area of a triangle, which is half AB sine C. So half times A and B are these two lengths, and C is the angle in between them. So half times 10 minus x times 2x minus 1, half AB sine C is the angle, 150, and it's greater than, well, the whole parallelogram is greater than 15, so each of these triangles are bigger than 7.5 because there's two equal triangles here. So it's bigger than 7.5. Let's double both sides to get rid of the half. So 10 minus x times 2x minus 1 times sine 150 is bigger than 15. Sine 150 is a half again. So we can change sine 150 into a half. So half times 10 minus x times 2x minus 1 is bigger than 15. But then we can get rid of the half by doubling again. So 10 minus x times 2x minus 1 is bigger than 30. Now I'm going to expand these brackets. So 10 times 2x is 20x. 10 times negative 1 is negative 10. And negative times a positive is negative, and x times 2x is 2x squared. And a negative times a negative is positive. 1x is just x. So now we just need to get this all on the same side, and we're going to move it all over to the right side to make our x squared term positive. So we've got 2x squareds. We've got minus 21x and plus 40. And then all we need to do is to rewrite it with our quadratic on the left side, and it's still going to be less than 0. So 2x squared minus 21x plus 40 is less than 0. Part B, find the range of possible values of x. So solve this inequality. So we could try and factorize, or we could use the quadratic formula. I don't know if it factorizes. So we could just use the quadratic formula. A is 2, B is minus 21, and C is 40. And the quadratic formula says x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we've got minus 21 plus or minus the square root of minus 21 squared minus 4 times 2 times 40 all over 2a's, which are 2 2's. So I'll type that into the calculator. So with a plus first. So I've got 8, so it would have factorized. Or then change it to a minus. Oh, I've lost it, so I'm going to type it in again. This time with a minus. And that's 5 over 2, or 2.5. So they're the points where it's equal to 0. They're not the answers to our inequality. So if we had a graph of y equals 2x squared minus 21x plus 40, it would be equal to 0 at 8 and 5 over 2, or 2.5. So it would be equal to 0 there at those 2 points, there and there. But we want to know where it is less than 0. So where is it less than 0? Where it's underneath the x-axis is in this section. It's less than 0 here, which means it's in between 5 over 2 and 8. So x is bigger than 5 over 2, but less than 8, in between 5 over 2 and 8. That's our answer. Question 24. So we've got a square ABCD drawn for us, and we're told it's transformed by a combined transformation of a reflection in the line x equals -1, followed by a rotation. Under the combined transformation, 2 vertices of the square are invariant. That means they haven't moved. So after both transformations, 2 of the points are back where they started. Describe fully one possible rotation. So let's reflect it in the line x equals -1 first. So x is -1 That's this line. So we're reflecting the shape, our square in this line. So A was 2 away from the mirror line, so 2 away on the other side. B was 4 away, so it's over here. D was 2 away, so D's here. And C was 4 away, so that's the point C there. So that's the first transformation. And now we need to rotate this square, so 2 of these points are back where they started. It might be useful to use tracing paper for this one. You could play around with the tracing paper at different points and different rotations and see how to get 2 of these corners back to where they started. If we hold our tracing paper at -1,6, at -1,6, and we spin it, so to get A back to where it started, it's at the moment it's 2 down, 2 left. If we rotate that 90 degrees anti-clockwise, so 90 degrees anti-clockwise, A will get back to where it started. And so will the point C. So 4 down, 4 across. If we rotate that 90 degrees anti-clockwise, that would be 4 to the right and 4 down. So A and C will get back to where they started if we do a rotation of 90 degrees anti-clockwise with the center -1,6. So it's 90 degrees anti-clockwise rotation with a center at -1,6. And there will be other points as well where we could have rotated this to get other points back to where they started. So you can play around with this if you've got some tracing paper and find some other answers, but we only need one of them, so that will be okay. Question 25. The straight line L has equation 3x plus 2y equals 17. The point A has coordinates 0, 2. The straight line M is perpendicular to L and passes through A. Line L crosses the y-axis at B. L and M intersect at C. Work out the area of triangle ABC. So we've got a lot to work out here. So let's start by rearranging line L into the form y equals mx plus c. That will give us its gradient, which means we'll be able to find the perpendicular gradient for the other line. And it will also tell us where it crosses the y-axis, and that will be this point B. So we've got 3x plus 2y equals 17. We want y by itself. Let's take 3x away from both sides. So 2y is -3x plus 17. And then half everything. So -3 over 2x plus 17 over 2. So that means L crosses the y-axis at B. So that's y-intercept of 17 over 2, or the coordinates of 0, 17 over 2, or 8.5. So that's point B. We can also see that this gradient is -3 over 2. So the perpendicular gradient is the negative reciprocal of that. So flip a minus. So the perpendicular gradient is 2/3. So 3/2 flipped over is 2/3. And if this one's negative, the other one must be positive. So then line M, it's got a y-intercept of 2. It goes through 0, 2. And its gradient is 2/3. So for M, we've got y equals 2/3 x plus 2. So we've got point A that we know. That's point A. Point B, we know. We need point C, and that's where L and M intersect. So we're going to find the intersection of these two lines. So L and M. So we find intersection of two lines using simultaneous equations. So they intersect when their x is the same and when their y is the same. So let's make, they're both y equals at the moment. Y equals minus 3/2x plus 17/2. And y equals 2/3 x plus 2. So we can just make them equal to each other. Y is equal to this. And when the y is the same, y is also equal to this. So they must be equal. So minus 3/2x plus 17/2 equals 2/3 x plus 2. And now we just need to solve this equation. Let's get rid of these fractions first. So let's times every term in here by 2. So double everything, which is minus 3x plus 17 equals 4/3 x plus 4. And then let's multiply everything by 3 to get rid of the thirds. So minus 9x plus 17 times 3 is 51 equals 4x plus 12. Now it should be a lot easier to solve. So plus 9x to both sides. 51 is equal to 13x plus 12. Take 12 away from both sides. So 51 take away 12 is 39. And divide both sides by 13. So x must be 3. We also need to find the y coordinate. So when x is 3, y is 2/3 of 3 plus 2. 2/3 of 3 will be 2. Plus 2 is 4. So the point 3,4 is the other point we wanted. That was our point C. So now we would need to work out the area of this triangle ABC. Let's draw them. So that will give us a better idea of the triangle we're looking at. So what do we have? We have the point 0, 2, 0, 8.5, and 3, 4. So this is our triangle that we need to work out the area of. The area of a triangle is, well, we can use half times base times height. So between 2 and 8.5, that length there is 6.5. And between 0 and 3, we've got a height of 3. So area is half times the base times the height. Half times 6.5 times 3 and that is 9.75. So 9.75 units squared. We don't know the units. 9.75.